Well, it's been a sad week, and one that I hope hasn't evoked too many memories for our mums, because they do such an amazing job. And what a job they have to do. They have to look beautiful because they are, and they also probably want to hold down a fulfilling career. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough, they want to be the perfect mum because they love you kids so much. And those are really, really big jobs. And just to give you a picture, if they have a fulfilling career, they probably feel guilty because they don't see more of you kids. But if they don't have a fulfilling career and they're with you all the time, they probably feel judged by all the other women who do have fulfilling careers. So it's just one of those impossible things. And they don't just have to care for you kids, actually. Sometimes us husbands, us dads, can be a bit like big kids. So they have a very, very big job. And lockdown's made it even harder because on top of all the jobs that they do, they've had probably a bit more money pressure on them. And on top of that, they've needed to teach you kids because apparently they've done more teaching than us dads have, because us dads find it very, very difficult, sadly. So they've had a lot on their plates. And today we just want to say, well done to all of them. All you mums, you do the most amazing job. You're probably much, much too hard on yourselves, and you don't realise what a good job you're doing just by simply showing up and loving your kids. And this passage actually is full of the same sort of questions that a lot of people are asking today. I mean, we're in a middle of a national crisis, and there's an even bigger crisis looming with the environment. So there are lots of crises around us. And if we have a big crisis, the great thing about the Bible is it often has a bigger one. And golly, the Israelites, they were facing the most extraordinary crisis. And what's so terrible about this crisis, where the Egyptian king gave this awful command to throw all the baby boys into the Nile. What's so awful about this crisis is that God just seems to be so absent from the picture. He's just not there, and you don't have that question really voiced in the passage, but it seems to voice it because it's just like he's not really there until you get these three women. And they're really incredible women. The first woman is a mum. And she takes a very, very small step because she sees how beautiful her baby boy is. It says in the passage she saw he was good. And that word good is the same word that God uses when he describes creation, when he's just stepped back from creating it all. And she sees this baby boy as he's a good boy. And she takes this very small step of hope. She doesn't want to throw him in the Nile. So she hides him. She has hope that he's going to be okay. And in 3 months, after 3 months, when she can see that that's just not going to happen, she makes this basket of pitch. And in this last gesture of hope, she puts him in the reeds by the Nile. So here's an Israelite mum. She just has a little bit of hope and she acts on it. And if she has a little bit of hope, there's another woman who comes into the picture who has a mum but no kids at all, who has a lot of love because she sees the baby in the basket. And when that baby cries out, she hears his cry. She knows that she has to keep him. And what's so amazing about this woman, this princess, the Egyptian princess, the daughter of the king, she's the only one in Egypt who could disobey the king's command. She just has a lot of love and she's going to act on it. And so she takes this step of love. And if she has love, there's another woman in this passage, a little girl actually, and she has a lot of faith. And she acts on it. She waits by the basket to see what's going to happen to her brother. And she doesn't have any kids, but she's a sister. And she wants to know what's going to happen to her brother. And when she sees the princess picking him up, she's brave enough. She acts on her faith. And she goes up to the princess and asks if she can help. And that's the truth, for all of us. Because, you see, these three women, they show these incredibly strong characteristics of faith and hope and love. And in doing so, they just mirror what our Father in heaven is like. Because he is a father. We do have a father, and he is faithful to us. He is faithful to us when we look to him. And you know what? He looks on us. He looks on you mums particularly with such hope, because he sees the hope that's in your hearts, and he just wants to pour out his goodness over it. And finally, whatever you get wrong, he just loves you. He loves you more than you could ever understand. And he wants to bless everything in your lives. So if you're a mum, if you're lonely, if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling depressed, these are very, very common things for mums to feel, and a bit anxious as well. But just know that there is a God who is always there, however lonely you feel, who wants to encourage you today because you're doing a much better job than you realize, and who is full of love. And his love is bigger than any of our anxiety or any of our depression. And he wants to come today. He wants to fill you with his love, his faith, and his hope. And he wants to transform your lives. And the big question is, do you want to take that small step towards him? Because he's waiting there with open arms. Just like these women in the passage. This mum full of hope, this woman full of love, and this little girl who was full of faith. You have a father.